This is the Charity Stripe on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio.
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. We are live on the Charity Stripe podcast with your hosts, Alex, Josh, and Nick.
All right, you heard it in our intro. We've been covering Winning Time. It's one of our favorite shows on HBO. We say it all, HBO just doesn't miss. We say it all the time. They hit with Game of Thrones and are consistently on fire, and that's just to name one show. We have Dr. Solomon Hughes in the house. He played for Cal basketball, played for the Globetrotters, got his doctorate, coaches basketball, and of course, he plays Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on HBO's Winning Time. Of the many lives you've seemed to have lived, which is the most surprising, Solomon?
Oh man, that's a great, most surprising. Well, I think parenthood, right? I'll say parenthood and marriage, right? They are the ones that offer the most surprises, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of like professional, like what I've been paid for, if this absolutely, I mean, I would be lying if I said anything else. Like the opportunity to become an actor and to work on such an incredible project with so many incredible people, and just the way it all came together has been a wonderful surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Starting at point A, how did you get the role?
Sure. Yeah. So a casting director reached out.
Okay.
In the summer of 2019, and I was with some friends. We were up in Yosemite, and I got a text message from a very good friend of mine who actually used to play basketball at Cal with me, okay. Robbie Jones, who's been acting for 20 years and has had a really great career. He was a lead in a Tyler Perry film, and right before COVID, he was a lead in a film with Jim Gaffigan. And so Robbie texted me, and Robbie's a little bit of a prankster. So he says, Solomon, there's a casting agent. They're doing a search for someone to play Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in an upcoming show on HBO. And there's a casting agent that's going to reach out to you. I'm just like, whatever, right? Like delete. And then follows it up with like, this is not a joke. I'm getting ready to call you to explain this to you. So he calls me and he's like, yeah, somebody's going to reach out to you tomorrow. They heard your name and they want to see if you're interested in auditioning. And so sure enough, yeah, I got sides from a casting agent. And then Robbie was incredibly helpful in helping me put together my self-tape. And honestly, for me, I tell people I was just excited to audition. I just like, it was like at the very least, I was like, this is a very cool story. Like nothing may come of this, but this is a very cool story. So sent in the self-tape, and then a few days later, learned that they were going to fly me down to LA to do an in-person audition. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting real. And so fortunately, before my in-person audition, I had an opportunity to talk with Max Bornstein and Rodney Barnes, the executive producers and writers. And I think they're both amazing. And I think that they've worked on really cool projects. So I was definitely having, this kind of fanboy moment where I'm like, I'm talking to these really cool guys and I might get to meet Adam McKay. And sure enough, when I went down for the audition, Adam was there along with Francine Meister and Adam's team, Kevin Messick, et cetera. And, I'm like trying to keep, control the heart rate. And, and I went in there, did the audition and they put me through it. I mean, they beautifully combined creating a welcoming environment, but also putting me through the ring, like an hour plus of, take after take, do it again, do it this way, do it that way. And then some improv, and I did my audition. Quincy was there. And I read through a scene with Quincy and we were both in the Laker gear, but yeah, it was surreal. And so I found out, go ahead.
This is your first audition ever, right?
So I auditioned for an Advil commercial right after I graduated from college.
Right.
So
the big, real TV
right,
show.
Exactly.
So you're shooting 50% right now.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Very cream of you.
Shooting 50% for sure. But I will say like I've always had an interest in this space, but I couldn't even get to the door to get a yes or no, right? It was just like, no, don't even bother, So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up though, they put you through the ringer, but they kind of have to, because not to give anything away, but in the 5th episode, it's very tailored to your character and to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And if you watch, we knew we were having you on, we knew it was your first acting role. And the first 4 episodes, you're in it and it's fun. There's a lot of funny moments and Kareem being serious, and stoic. But the amount that you had to do in episode 5 is very was it easier almost like not having any pressure, having ever done this before? You can kind of just go in and have fun, because it's a very taxing performance in episode 5.
Yeah, it was very taxing for sure. I was actually just texting with Tanya Hamilton, who was the director, and that's definitely one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. That episode for sure. I mean, just the whole thing. But I mean, I always say this. It's like this combination of like, it's difficult, but it's also incredibly rewarding. And I think I feel like that's something that has been ingrained in me because I've had the background of being an athlete. So knowing that more reps, tiring yourself out, there's going to be something great that comes on the other side of that. And so yeah, I mean, it was, so I think, when I think about this team and this organization, these are figures that were very impactful in my life and the way I think about the world. And so there, I definitely felt like every day I'm like, I just want to honor these guys, right? At the end of the day, I want to honor these guys. I want to honor the story. I want to honor what they did for the world of sports entertainment. And yeah, I mean, there was some heavy stuff for sure. I mean, so Tanya, like the mosque scene was tough because there was, oh, man, there's just so much, right? You're talking about such a vulnerable moment in someone's life, and really trying to, not do it in a way that like that shows it poorly or whatever. I mean, it was tough. Yeah.
Did you feel, you're talking about the vulnerability? I think that one thing that's overlooked a lot, you're talking about your friend Robbie, who played with you. Like what's overlooked a lot is the comparison between athletes and actors, that like athletes have to be very, very vulnerable too. Like it doesn't, we're talking about the current Lakers team right now. Like how much stuff is thrown at Russell Westbrook just by the way that he's playing. Like every person is under a microscope, and like, he's not performing. He's just getting out there and doing what he loves, which is playing basketball. Like that's an incredibly vulnerable moment. Did you feel that there was some connective like tissue with when you were back playing college basketball at Cal and playing in the big lights? March Madness just happened, obviously, like that last game between UNC and Kansas, like those gut wrenching moments, vulnerability just off the charts from all these young athletes. Did you feel that connective tissue as you were playing this role?
Absolutely. I think, and that was like one of the very first conversations Robbie and I had just about the process of auditioning. It's like, you are literally going in there and just laying yourself out in front of a group of people who, you're at their mercy essentially. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely felt a lot of those connections, especially with basketball. When you think about, you're wearing a tank top and shorts, right? People can see your expressions, they can see how you're responding. So I think there's a specific kind of vulnerability, even within the world of sports, around with sports like basketball, where everything is just so visible. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I felt like, I mean, literally you're in a room where there's cameras, like, a few inches from your face, and everywhere. There's, the crew, right? And everybody's watching. And so what, and why acting has been so rewarding is, I mean, you really have to turn everything off. You really have to just focus in completely on the task at hand. And when you're in these scenes, I'm working with other people, right? So you're really just creating your own world in the midst of a ton of stuff that's happening. And so yeah, definitely felt the connective tissues.
I want to go back really quickly to something, because you seem like someone who really enjoys being challenged. And you mentioned that, it was challenging to kind of portray this actor for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I read that you didn't actually get a chance to actually meet him or talk to him about this. So, I mean, for you, like portraying this character without actually meeting him and getting the approval, what was that process like for you? I know you read about him a lot, and maybe what's a question you would like to ask him if you did get a chance to meet him?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Jason Clark and I had a really good conversation about just,
who's epic, by the way. He's so good.
Yeah, right. Jason Clark, who plays Jerry.
So good.
Right. Oh my gosh. Right. So we talked about, that gray area of, do you want to meet the people or not? Because I feel like what you don't want to do is kind of cloud your mind with an idea, right? Because at the end of the day, all of us have an idea of who we are, right?
Right.
And how we show up. And then there's our friends and our family who see us, right? And they're like, not quite, right? Not so fast, right? Like in terms of like, this is who I am. This is what, so I feel like there is that gray area around that. I mean, I was open to just at the very least just having a conversation and just saying, I was thrilled that I got this part, and I'm someone that has admired him for a long time. And in a lot of ways, I feel like getting this part kind of as a reflection, I feel like, of what he's modeled in terms of not being one-dimensional, right? He's a writer, he's an actor, right? He's produced stuff, so he's familiar with this word. He's obviously has lots of opinions, and he writes about those things. And so, but I think so there was. I'm one of the few cast members who literally is portraying someone who produced a beautiful documentary about themselves, right? And so I feel like where there were so I did feel like there was an opportunity to connect to what he thinks about himself, essentially, and also in this era of YouTube, right? I mean, there's so much. I got really good at changing the search terms in YouTube to find like old school interviews or old school games, etc.
He's still vocal. I mean, he's vocal about LeBron. Like his stamp on the game has been apparent year to year since he's, played at UCLA. And it's great to see him obviously in this light. I mean, because I think for our generation, people don't necessarily, you go watch the documentaries, of course, but kind of seeing it in a TV medium where it is in some ways obviously fictional and based off of something, it makes it more digestible. So seeing him in this light's great. We were off, not to toot your horn. We were texting off and you were like, oh, he was a doctor here. He went there. He was a globetrotter. Like, this guy's literally Kareem. He just is like, it just is an actor for him. But
maybe the most accomplished cast member.
Yeah. What was the biggest connection you found between yourself and Kareem? Because like from an acting perspective, people are always taught, find that even if you're playing like a serial killer or somebody, obviously Kareem's the opposite, but like what's the one connective thing that connects you versus makes you different? Like obviously you're not this person, you're not Kareem.
Right.
But what was the one thing that made you, okay, that's our big connection. That's where I can kind of pull for myself and really start the connection there and branch out.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Here's what I think. I think that and I'm only speaking from what I know from my personal experience, right? So I think I was 6'8" when I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh my
and I had
God.
two siblings who were playing college sports, right? Okay. And an older brother who was also very good at basketball. I had a sister who played at UCLA and first team all Pac-12, really, really great player. At the time, it was the Pac-10. But I think that there just were assumptions that were just people just defaulted to when they saw me, right? I mean, even now, when I go to the grocery store or, when I'm just out and about, do you play basketball? Or, the other day I was at Starbucks and someone said, are you here for March Madness? Are you in one of these hotels? Because there was I don't know, it was like the Elite Eight or whatever that they were playing in San Francisco. And someone was like, are you on one of the teams? And I'm like, first of all, I played college ball 20 years ago. Thank you for the compliment, but no, I'm not, I'm not playing anymore. And so I feel like being 6'10" and I guess looking somewhat like an athlete, I think right out of the gate, like just my physicality hits people in the face. And so I think he's 7'2", and probably one of the most, if not the most recognizable person on the planet. So I think if there's one place where I wonder if this is his experience, and if it is, I feel like I connect to it, is just the assumptions that are made about you, and the and the hurtful ones as well, right? I feel like I remember in college there was a time where my freshman year I presented. I was a part of a group that was doing a presentation in class, and afterwards I heard through the rumor mill that I blew people's minds because I didn't look the part of an engaged student because I wore my basketball gear to class. And it's just like, what? Like, that's just slow down, So yeah, I think just the assumptions that people make, essentially.
I know that you have a really strong passion for teaching and educating. Did you kind of look at this experience and this opportunity to maybe educate people on just this story and maybe what Kareem stood for?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like I was welcomed into a project that was already doing that, right? I mean, just the writing on this show is like, what? Like, it's just so good. It's so good, and just, I mean, just the way it visually shows up. I mean, I was like, I want to give whoever said this credit, but I was talking with someone about, like, essentially theater, film, TV, these are classrooms. They're not traditional learning spaces, but these are classrooms, right? I mean, when I think about some of the most impactful lessons I've learned in my life, a lot of the time it came from like a film or a TV. And so so absolutely see this as like an opportunity for people to get proximate to other people's experiences. And also, I mean, there's so much history around just the global game that the NBA is today, right?
Yeah,
it's such a nuanced take too, because it informs people who don't know how the NBA works, how the NBA used to work, what the Showtime Lakers even were, why basketball is important. If someone had never watched a game of basketball, they would still enjoy this show. But then, the hoop heads like ourselves, we also get what we came for too. You know, like it's
for sure,
which is so impressive. And that's a testament to the writing and y'all's performances as well. So we're just a lot of lauding going on right now. But
you learn something new every day. I had no idea Paul Abdul was a Laker girl. That was not to like spoil. Yeah, well, that was like they were like Laker
girl number one.
And they flashed. I was like, Paul Abdul. I mean, how many seasons of American Idol have I seen that I had? How much basketball have I watched that didn't come together? But playing hoops, what was it like, for you? I'm sure you studied Kareem, obviously when you were coming up in college and high school, but kind of going back to that, in your older years and kind of, reliving and rewatching film and kind of having to remodel your game after him. How was that as a hooper?
It gave me a new appreciation for the game of basketball, right? It gave me, I mean, I always thought that he was an exceptional player, but it gave me a new appreciation, like a deeper, even more nuanced appreciation for just, like we talked about him holding the Mount Everest of basketball records, right? And he primarily shot 2-pointers, right? I mean, he primarily like banged it out down low and was able to get off that incredibly graceful shot. And so I think, as a hooper, I feel like, so, when I think about my experience playing basketball and college basketball, it's professional, it's called amateur. It's under the guise of, what am I trying to say? It's like, it's professional sports under the guise of amateurism, right? Yeah. So like you feel the immense pressure of putting on a good show and getting the wins that that drive the revenue and keep everybody at the institution happy. And so I think being able to step away from that and revisit the realm of basketball from a creative angle has been really, really rewarding.
Yeah, that's unbelievable that, I read that you also like grew up a Laker fan as well. So like being able to kind of just come into this space and play for your team, pretty much and play for this, mega star that we all know and love.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
How has it changed your coaching maybe? Because I mean, you coach as well, right? How is like this impacted your coaching?
For sure. So I'm coaching my daughter's, I'm the assistant coach on my daughter's 8th grade basketball team. And so I think it's the way, I feel like Magic Johnson had fun, right? That like literally he played the sport to have fun, right? And he won, it was fun because he dominated, right? And so I feel like there's a joy that he just injected into that organization. And so, literally, I feel like I feel like I can't say it enough to the girls, like have fun, right? First and foremost, if you're not having fun, you need to be doing something else. You need to like literally go find what you're going to have fun doing, but like lean into this, right? And you're going to have fun when you really challenge yourself, when you really push yourself. And so, so I feel like that definitely is an ethos that I'm trying to like get the girls to really adopt is, no matter what happens, forgetting about the score, if you can walk off the court and be like, I put my all in there and I had fun, that is an accomplishment.
Now, being around all these other actors, there's a lot of because you and Quincy, it's kind of your first go. Jamel, who we've had on, he's been doing it for a while, but this is one of his first bigger breaks. But then you guys like Jason Clark and John C. Reilly, who are like
Jason Segel.
Jason, I mean, Adrian Brody, who like, want to laud somebody, literally everything that guy touches is gold. But there's a lot of variations and levels. Has that impacted your view on, acting for the future? You kind of just trying to enjoy the moment and live in it?
No, it's definitely impacted it. I mean, Wood Harris, another one, Wood and Steve, the Harris brothers, Wood and Steve Harris. I mean, it's like, there's just so many incredible performers that are a part of this project. And Wood, one of the things Wood would say often is Solomon, this is my masterclass, soak it up. And I'm like, I really approach it like it's a classroom, just watching different people's approaches, their styles. I'm like, 3 years ago, I would have paid to just sneak onto a set and watch this, right? Watch, Jason Segel perform, Adrian Brody perform. And here I am, like a front row seat to it. So yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I wanted to soak up as much as I could. And yeah, it's, Jason Segel and I, we played against each other in high school, played basketball against each other, which was a really, fun fact. And so it was cool when he came into the makeup trailer for the first time. I was like, Jason.
They gave a little Easter egg where he goes up to Jerry West. He goes, hey, do you remember me? He goes, number 32. I hope you're a better coach than you're a basketball player.
But it literally happened for you offset. I was literally thinking that literally happened for you offset. That's a wild moment.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, I feel like, I think, and one of the other things I really praise them. The more established actors, the ones who've been doing this for a while, they really created an environment where I felt like I belonged. And I feel like that's a very, very powerful thing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like it's easy sometimes, because life moves so fast, it's easy to forget that we were all once beginners at something, right? Mm-hmm. And it was somebody else's grace and kindness and patience that helped us feel like we belong and then perform. And I feel like that's what this project was. It was like a lot of exceptional talents, welcoming in people. And it's a beautiful thing.
The way team aspect.
You really sound like a coach right there. You really do. The way that you talk about TV, film, that medium, it sounds like you have a great admiration for it. Were there television shows or movies when you were growing up that you responded to you? And I mean, I love the way you talk about how the medium shapes how people live their lives. Like we don't know that we're absorbing this messaging when we're growing up, but it really does have a profound impact on us. Like were there a couple of movies or TV shows that really
for sure. And and related to specific people in the show. So Remember the Titans. I told Wood, like the first time I met him,
the poster, right?
An enormous poster, like the posters the public aren't supposed to get, like from the bus stop. Like somebody was able to get one of those for me. And because we watched Remember the Titans as a team when I was a junior, so before our season. And I really do think it impacted just the way, I think we really just turned it up a notch in terms of really loving each other and approaching every game as one. And the pianist, Adrian Brody, I watched that and I've told Adrian, I went out and made sure other people watched it. Like I was like, I wanted to like be a missionary for that movie because I just thought his performance was just so incredible. But beyond that, like I grew up watching The Cosby Show, and Ethel Ayler, who played Claire Huxtable's mother on The Cosby Show, is a relative. And so I felt like, even as impactful as that show was, I definitely felt this familial connection because there's somebody on the screen who I'm like, oh, we come from the same family. So even though I never got to meet her, but it was still a powerful enough connection. So
that's nice, man.
That's awesome.
It's funny you bring up Remember the Titans is probably, after Superbad, my second favorite or third favorite movie after Superbad and The Departed. I was going to get a tattoo of fake 23 blast, the backside George reverse, which is the final play they run to win the game. But I feel like the X's and O's would look really weird on my leg. So I'll just have it in my mind. But it's a fun movie. It's sports and everyone loves that. Right. But the message it sends, and obviously the camaraderie it brings, but also the light it sheds. I think that's such an important, when you're telling stories about true events, it needs to shed and also teach you. You need to be able to learn about what happened, but also take away from something that happened. So I think that's important. Let me ask you this, a couple fun ones. Jamel said that you were the best hooper on set.
That's very generous of Jamel. I love Jamel, and that's very generous of him.
Okay, great. Now the question is he said he was the second best hooper. Can you back that up? Can you confirm or deny?
This is what I'm going to say. I don't know that I'm the best hooper on that set. I will say one of the things that I love about Jamil is always ready to play. Like he is game ready. Like 6 a.m. He's like he's rolling the ball to you. Like, let's go. Like there is a persistence to his approach to the game that is, so he played football, right? He was a great college football player. So it's like, there's almost, I used to love in college watching football players play basketball because they put everything into it, right? I mean, they play with their whole body. And
they're the biggest hardos, yeah.
Exactly. So he is. I mean, he comes to set ready to play, like for sure. Like, and it's like it's like one of those things where he doesn't get shook, right? Like if someone makes a good play on him, he's like, run it back, you know. And so I feel like I just really admire and love his intensity.
Sounds a bit like one of those guys you want to have on your team but hate to play against.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
All you gotta do is look at his Instagram story. He's putting up shots every day at 24-hour.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then trying to learn that shot, right? I mean, I don't know what side it's from, but yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's a wild one. A couple more for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite memory from being on set?
Man, oh wow. So it's like asking what my favorite, which one of my kids is my favorite. I will say there were.
You can answer that. You can answer that too if you feel like, you know, this is a safe space.
Right. Man, there were so many. It was so much fun. I mean, just that, like what Jamil talked about, like because the background guys and some of the doubles on the basketball court were like incredible hoopers, and they were so cool and so competitive, and so. Just mixing it up with them while we were waiting for, in between shots was a lot of fun. Like there was always a game of 21 or one-on-one that was happening. It was like, that was a lot of fun. So
yeah, Toss and I actually have worked for that company that casts those background hoopers and athletes. It's called Game Changing Films, and Toss and I both didn't meet the height requirements because you had to be over 6'2".
Yeah. But we, you know what we had on our show, Jordan Sutherland, the 1 foot god who played Dr. J on the show and did some of the dunks for him. And that guy can fly. I mean,
yes,
that guy can fly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right.
Ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like that, talk about a showstopper for sure. Yeah.
Jordan plays Dr. J on the show?
Yep.
Yeah.
What am I, under a rock these days? I didn't realize that.
I mean, you got to get a good dunker to, or
he does a lot of,
he dunks
exactly.
For it,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry. To clarify. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you see the guys do the great dunks, it sometimes isn't the actor who's playing the character.
Sometimes.
I did my own stunts. Just want to point that out for the crowd out there.
What up, Jackie Chan? Jackie Chan. No doubles here, baby. All right. We always ask all our guests this. It could be from you playing, watching, anything your whole entire life. What is your favorite sports memory ever?
Oof. Great question. Okay. Years ago, I coached at Alta Vista High School in Mountain View, California. It's a continuation school. And we were playing in a league where we were just getting dominated. And we pulled out a win against one of the toughest, biggest teams in the league on their home court. This is like a regular season game, but that win was I was so proud of the kids, and I was like just so blown away by it myself. That was a special moment because the head coach and I, like, it was like we were just really trying to encourage the guys, like, just play your hardest, guys, play your hardest, and we pulled out that win, and it was like we both were like, oh wow, that was pretty cool. So it was fun seeing the kids pull that one out.
Who was the team that y'all beat? Let's put that out on the airwaves.
Oh, geez, Peninsula, I think.
Yeah, Peninsula. Yeah.
It was it's a league of like continuation high schools. And so great athletes. And that was a fun memory. So
that is,
I love that.
I'll never be able to guess as long as I live people's memories. I think we probably have over like 130 memories. And I think I'm like 2 for 130. So complete. You're 1 for 2 between winning time and the Advil commercial. I'm like 2 for 130.
What's next for you, Solomon? I mean, you trying to make any documentaries? You're trying to get out there more acting gigs, more Advil commercials.
Advil commercials, right? Exactly.
Now I got to get you on.
Right. I'm just I'm hoping for season 2 and excited about the possibility of it. I feel like to be able to tell more of this story, the arc of their careers and what they were able to do over their time together, and it would really be a blessing to be able to be a part of that, tell more of those stories. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many great ways. So like, I guess, what am I trying to say? Like, I think I'm just such a fan of how stories can be told through film, and so if there are future opportunities to be a part of that, I'm all in. So
One final question. We mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but you played for Cal, Pac-12, formerly the Pac-10. I'd love to know who. I have a guy in my mind who I think would probably be the guy that you watched in college and were like, this guy, he's an NBAer. He's going to get to the bigs and he's going to have a significant impact. Who was the best player you saw in college while you were at the Pac-12?
While I was in the Pac, man, well, so, that's a great question. There's just so many guys.
I feel like Arizona was really good.
So, okay, I feel like I got to go with Jason Terry because he lit. No, sorry. No, hold on. Arizona schools. Okay, Jason Terry lit us up, but Eddie House.
Oh.
Pac-10 record, 61 points. I mean, he was man
great.
Possessed, right? Like Eddie, oh my gosh, that game, like there was nothing anybody could do. There was nothing anybody could do. Like he was going to have his way. Like that was an incredible performance. And I was like, that guy's just going to be impactful wherever you put him. Like that.
Both NBA champs too.
Right.
Both Eddie House and Jason Terry, NBA champs.
Right.
You just saved me $20. I bet him $20 in the side in our group text right now if he guesses exactly who you were going to say.
Wow.
He led it a little bit with Arizona, and then you went with Jet, and then you went with Jet. And I was like,
I wasn't exclusively because you played against. Wasn't Bibby there like when you were like a freshman or a sophomore, or that was before you?
Bibby had just got. But we played against Lamar Odom, and Lamar Odom was a monster, right? Like it's like how do you even match up against that guy, right?
I mean, he's your height, right?
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
He's an animal. He was sick, man. He was sick. Well, speaking of sick, you're doing a sick job, Solomon. We love Winning Time. Everyone go check it out. And go follow Dr. Solomon Hughes because he's doing a lot of great things in this world. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you guys.